play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. It is the greatest day in the sports calendar. Well, one of the two best days in the sports calendar, as it is March 16th, better known as Thursday, first round of the NCAA tournament. And I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking right off the bat here, Matt, where have you been? Where have the podcasts been? Well, I must apologize. I haven't put one out in just about a month or so, but I've been very busy. I took a little time off, just a little break, if you will. Had to catch up on some things. And I kept telling myself, well, okay, I can't record Tuesday night. Let's try to record Sunday afternoon. And things just kept coming up. All right, let me try to record late Tuesday night again, or Wednesday or a Thursday. I just kept pushing it back, postponing. And no excuses here. Just needed a little breather. And it was nice to hear from a few of you. They were like, hey, where have the podcasts been? So that tells me that maybe the people want some more content, or at least both of you, if you know what I mean, a couple of you. So thanks for tuning in today. It has been a long time, and I'm not recording on Tuesday. I was going to this week, but I decided, you know what? Let me record Thursday morning during the great tip-off of the best 2 days in sports, really. 16 games today and 16 games tomorrow on Friday the 17th. St. Patrick's Day is tomorrow as well. So a busy sports weekend here. And it's been a pretty busy sports weeks, past couple of sports weeks, I'll say. And I'll get into all that. I have a lot of things to get to that I've been kind of stockpiling. And every time I think of something, I'm like, I can't wait to do that on the podcast. I can't wait to do that one on the podcast. And so it just happened that I took a few weeks off after that great Bill Barnes interview that you guys hopefully were able to tune into, and just been kind of collecting ideas here and there. And here we are back on the Get Home Safe podcast. I did a Charge to Keep podcast a couple weeks ago, so that kind of kept me busy as well. But we're back at it. My goal is to get back in the saddle here and be back in the whole weekly vibes here. So anyway, lots to get to. Again, it is March Madness. It's finally here. I'm actually in my living room right now. It is Thursday morning in my living room. You guys can't see this because of the background and everything, but I got my multiple TVs set up. This computer will turn into a third TV right after I'm done with this, so that we can watch every game, or most of them anyway, like God intended. And I know that today is one of the most popular sick days of the year amongst employees. A lot of people, not COVID related, of course, but just they come down with a little something on Thursday and Friday of the NCAA tournament, because out here on the West Coast, games start at 9 a.m. bright and early, and they go all day, all into the night, 16 games. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around it all. So I had originally been off, I think, on Friday, requested this Friday off long in advance. And then as I moved into full time at FedEx, I no longer had Thursdays off. So I had to I had an extra day or two to use. And so I said, well, let's make it an even couple of days on the March Madness opening round, and be able to watch every game like I did last year. So I'm very excited about this. I know a lot of you listening or whatever, you're like, oh, Matt, we get it. You like to watch the sports games as some of you roll your eyes at me, but it's just exciting, man, when you get to chill and watch and not have any distractions, work related stuff or whatever. Even Valerie knows. She's like, well, you're going to be watching games all day, aren't you? I said, yes. And I'll be thinking of you some of the time, but I'm watching hoops, and she doesn't get basketball. She tolerates football. She's somewhat intrigued in baseball, but basketball she doesn't get, and I certainly do. So unfortunately, my Titans, Cal State Fullerton, lost in the Big West Championship this year to UC Santa Barbara. They were not able to get into the NCAA tournament back-to-back years, but I thought I would wear the alma mater shirt anyway. And undefeated football. Let's see, Cal State Fullerton football undefeated since 1992, baby. So there we go. I have lots to get to. I wrote down so many different things, and I hope I can get to all of it. Let me see. Where do I start today? First of all, there's already been a big upset in the March Madness. The Furman, I don't even know their name. They took down Virginia, a 13 seed beating a 4 seed. Virginia just threw the ball away literally at the end of the game, up by 2, chucked the ball down the court, and it was intercepted by Furman. And they went and took a 3 and took down the Cavaliers. So I'm watching, let's see, Utah State and Missouri right now. San Diego State and who is that? Charleston. They're starting up. So a lot of great things here. I thought I'd get a podcast out of the way and be able to enjoy the rest of the games today. So this is kind of an underrated sports time. Usually when football ends, we're all kind of down. But I got to tell you, the past few weeks, not only were college hoops hot, not just the last few weeks of February, but into March and the conference tournament. College baseball started up in February. That's been fun to watch. I even watched some CIF basketball games a few weeks ago, the CIF high school championships. NHL, of course, going. There has been UFC, boxing, and then the XFL. Yes, more football. When I explained that to Valerie, I got the biggest eye roll ever. Yes, there is, in fact, minor league football that is taking place. And oh man, that was really, really funny to see. But it's been awesome, really. I mean, you come home every night and have something on. And I'm still an NFL guy, college football guy. But I mean, it's been cool to kind of delve into some other sports, and it's been really underrated. And you know what's been great the past few nights has been the World Baseball Classic. That has been awesome. I know that the U.S. was terrified to send out some of their pitchers. I mean, guys making $30-40 million a year. Why would we have them play in an exhibition? You know, they might get injured. They might get injured celebrating like Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets did last night of the playing for Puerto Rico as they eliminated the Dominican Republic. And of course, you know, it wasn't throwing a pitch. It was celebrating, and didn't look like much, but jumping in a circle. Guys have probably done that a bunch of times before, but apparently he tore some stuff in his knee and he's out for the season. So for all you people that are like, let the kids be kids, let them celebrate, what could go wrong? Well, there you go. Maybe there's a way, maybe there's a method to the madness as to why there's been professionalism for so long. And I'm all for passion, especially in this international play. I love seeing the different styles of play amongst the different countries. The USA, obviously, we know how they kind of play. You got to love Japan. They look flawless right now, and they don't ever seem to have any pitching issues with their arms and being hurt and pitch counts and this. They seem to be just fine. I don't know what they do in their Japanese leagues or whatever, but Japanese players always very fundamental, execute. They can crush the ball like Ohtani did the other night, and then throwing pitches as well. So I got to say, I'm kind of bummed at some of the USA pitchers who didn't take advantage of this opportunity to play for your country and represent. And it's quite exciting to see the lineups that have been out there and to see the support of the various countries. The Dominican Republic, I mean, those guys, they just swing hard in case they hit it. You know, that you don't walk your way off the island, as the great Vince Scully used to say. Just the various styles of play have been really, really cool. The Netherlands, unfortunately did not advance, but it's fun seeing them compete at a high level, as I got a little bit of Dutch blood in me from way back when. That's what the Hersema name is. But just a lot of fun to see the various styles of play, as I mentioned. And here we go in the the quarterfinals going today, the semifinals this weekend, and then a final, of course, next Tuesday. Mexico, they're still in it. Japan, Puerto Rico, as I mentioned. Who else is left? I think Cuba. Cuba goes to Florida, or maybe was in Florida and advances. I can't remember exactly, but they'll have a bunch of fans there, I'm sure. So the U.S. plays 4 p.m. on Saturday in the quarterfinal. And if they win that, I believe they will advance to play Japan, who is undefeated and looks really, really good. So tomorrow we have Puerto Rico against Mexico. That is Friday at 4 p.m. U.S. against Venezuela on Saturday at 4 p.m. And then waiting for those two winners is Cuba and Japan. It's very, very exciting. It's really, really cool to see. And if you're a baseball purist, you got to love this stuff. It's really neat to see. I got to tell you something about changing of opinions regarding baseball. Sometimes you see something, you're like, that's really stupid. And we're all entitled to change our opinions. I still don't love it, but apparently it is working a little bit. I have not liked the clock in baseball, the pitch count, the pitch timer. I think it's I know they want to speed games up and everything, but it just doesn't feel right. Now it has helped, and I've seen it in college baseball as well. Apparently it is helping, and they just have been hard nosed on this and said, no, this is how it's going to be. This is where the game's going. And we want action every 15 seconds or whatever, which is cool. I get, and trust me, I've been out in the field plenty of times on games. Ooh, big 3 for Utah State. Oh no, Missouri. Sorry. Missouri's pulling away from the Aggies here. But I don't know, something I don't embrace change a lot, as I'm sure you guys can tell. But I think sometimes when you give something a chance, give it a little time and see, all right, this might work out after all. I'm still not sold on it, but I've opened up a little bit to it, because I also know that the pitch clock is something. It's one more thing umpires got to worry about, and the lack of what do you want to call it? Respect for the umpiring profession out there. It's just one more thing that is going to get fans and everyone else upset at umpires for, when their job is hard enough. And I got a text from someone who's like, they called a timing violation late in a game. And I'm like, well, they haven't called it all game. Well, it's like, it may have not happened all game either. It just came at a bad situation. So unfortunately, in college baseball and Major League Baseball, we are going to see clock violations, and they're not going to always come at, how should we say, convenient times. When the clock hits 0, there may not ever be a shot clock violation all game in a basketball game. But when the shot clock violation occurs late in the fourth quarter or the second half in college, hey, sorry, bad timing. The clock's been up there in bright numbers all game for you. And if you don't know how to get a shot off by then, well, that's a tough break. And it's hard for me to adjust to this, because again, I'm still a baseball purist, and I'm like, well, it's just however long it takes. But at the same time, I do want the game to be picked up. So I was kind of in the middle with all this, not liking change, but it's growing on me a little bit. I've only seen a few weeks of it in spring training. And now that I've seen it in person in the college game a few times, as I attended a game recently, I'm a little more open to it, as long as it doesn't end up delaying the game. Because so many times what happens before, when we had these clock violations, is it would cause this massive delay, because then he's got to complain. Wait, we didn't violate. We did this. It just ends up being this 1 or 2 minute delay, where if we just waited another 10 seconds, a guy would have thrown a pitch. But it seems like it's, they're being adamant about it now. No arguments, no excuses. So if it helps the game, cool. Not every good rule change does help the game, though. I wish the defensive shift would still be there, because I think that is obviously strategy and coaching and looking ahead. But of course, we want faster games with more offense. And I don't know how you achieve that. But it is something that Major League Baseball and college baseball is really striving to do. So it's early March here and middle of March. This is all about March Madness, of course, but some baseball things to talk about, as I've been watching some baseball here the past month and a half or so. And it's been cool to see the game again. Happy that I'm not involved in it, at least for now. I might be involved in the near future in a couple ways, but I'll keep you guys posted on all of that. I did attend the Texas versus Cal State Fullerton baseball game, at least a few innings of it, on Sunday a few weeks ago. And I want to fill you guys in on something that happened for maybe you guys that didn't see it in the national media, and on the national media, I should say. And this is just a point that I have tried to educate you guys on a lot. So many times an umpire is like, oh, why do they worry so much about this and that? It's like, there's a reason for it, because if you let things get out of control, bad things could happen. So Texas versus Fullerton, historical rivalry, Augie Garrido, of course, and Fullerton beat Texas in the 2004 championship. And I think in the 1984 championship also, but, they ended up splitting the first 2 games. I attended the last few innings of the Sunday game. And one thing I saw from watching on my TV even was that it was really chippy. And there's a fine line between, again, enthusiasm and spirit, or whatever you want to call it, and just like being over the line and just not showing respect for your opponent. And it started on Friday night when the Cal State Fullerton closer struck out Texas to win the game. He turned to the Texas dugout and he gave him the hook 'em down horns signal. Hook 'em horns, the index and the pinky finger is kind of their symbol. And he stared down the dugout and did that. And I thought it was rather classless and something that a lot of people would be like, oh man, that's so cool that he did that and he taunted those guys. And unfortunately, in baseball, there's 2 more games in a series typically after game 1. So wouldn't you know it, the next night, or was it Sunday, that closer came back in. Texas won on Saturday. Sunday, the closer comes in and he has a 2-run lead, and the baseball gods know, whether you're an atheist or not, the baseball gods are in fact real. And he gave up a 2-run home run, and it was just jaw jacking back and forth. And it was a bad situation. And what that led us to, after the game, Fullerton ended up walking off Texas on a bloop single to after they went extra innings and such. And as Fullerton was celebrating, chasing the guy who hit the bloop single as he rounded second base, the celebration spilled into like left center field. And the Texas players are kind of coming off the field, and now it's on. And no punches were thrown, but they are just screaming at them. They're screaming at them. The Fullerton players are waving by, down with the horns. They're doing it again. The Texas players, from what I was told, were yelling, "You guys wish you were us. You think you were us. You want to be us, Texas," and blah, blah, blah. And it was just this big shouting match, and both benches, emptied and met there in left center field. I don't know the disciplinary actions that have taken place, but I do know that was in the works. And why I bring all this up is it's just like, it was something that you can always look at as a fan and be like, oh my goodness, why do they give warnings to these guys? Or why they eject the guy for staring down a dugout and telling them to be quiet, or for taunting? Why is that such a big deal? And it's because things snowball rather quickly in baseball. You don't have the technical foul. You don't have the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. You have warnings, which are kind of worthless, and you have ejections, and that's it really. So it's kind of, the only bullet you have in baseball. And maybe why are umpires always getting so worked up over this stuff? Well, it's tough to police this stuff, man. Imagine at your job, whatever your job is, you're at your desk or whatever your office is, and you got 25 people on this side of you and 25 people on the other side of you, and they're just barking at each other, and you have to control this, and they're yelling at you about your job. And so maybe every little comment, it shouldn't bother you. I don't know who these people are. Well, you shouldn't hear that stuff. Like, what do you mean I shouldn't hear that stuff? Nothing that has ever been said in the history of the world did not want to be heard. That's literally why you say things out loud. But I'm the crazy person. So it was a story that I saw, Fullerton, Texas, and I wanted to share it with you guys because things can snowball and turn into an avalanche rather quickly after just a snowflake or two. So just because umpires are getting involved at any sport really, and kind of laying down the law. I talked to a basketball official weeks ago, and apparently first few weeks they were giving out technical fouls like candy because the coordinators told them, don't allow any taunting, any unsportsmanlike. And then of course the coordinators backtracked a little bit, which happens typically in any sport, but you cannot allow players at any level of play, maybe a little bit more in professional sports, because it'll take care of itself typically. But in amateur sports, college, high school, I mean, you cannot allow 1% of taunting to go on, any kind of unsportsmanlike, because it doesn't get better. It's not the nature of it. And so that is something that I think our society could benefit from if we, there's so much of this Instagram and social media, podcasting, whatever you want to call it. There's so much of that out there that is this like image thing and look at me type of entertainment, right? And it's made it a lot worse, the whole nature of the beast, if you will, as far as behavior goes out there. And what's wrong with a bat flip? What's wrong with staring at a home run? Well, someone gets offended here, then he gets mad, and it's just, baseball's a different animal, man. It's just different. I try to explain that to you guys over time, but as it has just started, I've wanted to relay that information a little bit and kind of give you guys an example as to what happened. You can look it up. Again, no punches were thrown on anything, but it was just a chippy series. And back when I was umpiring, those were just the worst. You had to lay down the law. You had to. I remember big Division II series I did years ago, and the two teams went at it. It was an annoying first couple of games, and I mean, they were being stupid. One team, as the pitcher's warming up, they're like taunting him. And I just had to be like, are you guys going to act like little leaguers? Like, what's your problem? You want to be treated like grown men or little leaguers? You tell me which one you want to do, and I'll do it. Ended up having an ejection in the third game from some coach that thought he needed to stand up on the railing and wave at me after I got a call right that he did not like. And long story short, everything was good, but it was church after that. Sometimes, this is graphic, someone's going to flag me for this. Sometimes when you, I shouldn't say that. So I don't want to get in trouble. Sometimes you need a casualty to keep everyone else in line, if you know what I mean. So read into that as you will. But what else happened? Colin Kaepernick was in the news recently. Not only is he a bad person and a totally awful role model, and not a guy that is really sold out for making a buck. He doesn't care about justice, any of this stuff. He cares about making money, and he can be a victim and make lots of money. But another thing you add to the list of his mantle of so-called achievements and qualities is truly ungrateful. What an ungrateful, I got to choose my words carefully here. Ingratitude is a big problem in this country. I mean, a lot of us, we're only thankful around Thanksgiving time. But that dude, what he taught, how he threw his white parents who adopted him under the bus from his comments last week or whatever, just truly disgusting. I mean, these people literally adopted you and gave you a better life, and you call them racist, among other things that I'm sure you've implied. And I mean, just a truly disgusting human being. I hate the guy. It has nothing to do with any of his identity or any of that stuff. It's how he behaves. There's so many people I have issues with, and he's at the top of the list. Just truly disgusting person. I'm so tired of hearing about him. But he's always, if you notice, anytime you hear from him, there's some type of money involved, right? He's promoting a book, or he's got Netflix this, or he's got that. So he's all about the money. And hey, anyone who's pursuing money and a better life, fine. It is what it is. But to throw people under the bus, your parents who took such great care of you and gave you a life that you would not have had otherwise. Wow. You want to talk about disrespectful, ungrateful. I mean, this is a pandemic truly going on around the country these days. Just how many disrespectful, ungrateful kids there are these days. Back in my day, right? And people my age, adults, that just are ungrateful to be in America. I mean, is the easiest way to say it. And so there's so many people fighting to get here. It's like, well, why don't you give up your spot, if you will? If you're that angry and ungrateful at America, why don't you give up your spot? But you never will, because this is the greatest country in the world. It is slowly, quickly deteriorating. And that is unfortunate, but hopefully there's enough of us that care about it and will fight for it and can turn things around before you know it. Totally random stuff on here that I wrote down. Pau Gasol's number was retired by the LA Lakers. And although I don't follow the Lakers these days, I have been a big Laker fan in the past. A lot of people said, well, his jersey wouldn't be up there. He wouldn't have the championships without Pau Gasol. And okay, I get it. But when the way I think of jerseys being retired, especially in an organization like the Lakers, is if you have to say that team's name. And if certain players don't come to mind when you say that team's name, then their jersey probably shouldn't be retired. I'll even, to be unbiased here, I'll go with a team that I hate, in the San Francisco 49ers. When you say San Francisco 49ers, the team, the names that come to mind: Steve Young, Joe Montana, Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice. That's just to name a few. Who else was, I don't know. I'm trying to forget these people, as I knock the former 49er quarterback, but almost a Mount Rushmore, if you will. Not just anybody should have their jersey retired. And I know Pau Gasol got 2 championships for the Lakers, and he was a big part of it. But when I say the Los Angeles Lakers, Pau Gasol is not someone I automatically think of. I think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. Who else is James Worthy? Who else has their jersey retired up there? I should have had it memorized. I think it's George Mikan up there. I don't know. But I'm just saying, Pau Gasol, I always called him Pout Gasoft because he was always whining. He was always crying. He missed so many 2-foot shots because he got bumped, and it's just, Oh my goodness. He drove me nuts and people loved him and he was a good player, I know, and championships, but I didn't necessarily love the retiring of his jersey. I thought it was kind of a nice little semi-tribute to Kobe Bryant, I guess, if you will. But I don't know. I think someone like Robert Ory, Derek Fisher deserves to have their jersey retired more than someone like Pout Gasoft. But that's just me. I know maybe I'm being ungrateful that now, as I talk about ingratitude and how he did so many great things for the Lakers, and then maybe I'm just not giving him his props. A great player, a Hall of Famer. I don't know. Maybe, probably. I don't know what constitutes Hall of Fame numbers these days. So constitute, did I use that word right now? Sometimes I wonder. So I didn't like Pau Gasol's number being retired just because when I think of the Lakers, I don't think of Pau Gasol. And much like LeBron James, he's going to have his number retired as a Laker, which just disgusts me. He'll have it probably a few different places since he's played in so many different places. But when you say when you talk about a player, you kind of do it with the Dodgers too, with the Dodgers or the Lakers. When you bring up a player, you'd be like, oh, yeah, that guy's a Dodger. That guy's a Laker. That guy's not a Laker. It's just like, just because you played for the team, like Dennis Rodman played for the Lakers briefly. He's not a Laker. I don't think LeBron James is a Laker. If it's your third team, actually, it's your fourth stop. I'm sorry, you're not a Laker. You say the same thing about Shaq, but the Lakers was his second stop. First one after, I think, free agency, right? But I don't know. Maybe I have an old man look at all of this stuff, but I just didn't like it. Didn't sit. I'm okay with it. I'm not going to stay up late at night thinking about Pau Gasol's number. Why is it up there? I'm not going to do that. But I don't know. That's just my take on it. And maybe you agree or disagree. It is what it is. But when I saw that, I was like, how many more numbers are we going to throw up there? What is the criteria for having numbers retired? Speaking of numbers, at work, I have a pretty decent memory, but something I do at work is I have to memorize numbers a lot, right? Like addresses and stop numbers. And so anytime I see numbers, there's little games I play in my head that help me remember. I have a lot of numbers automatically in my head. I'm not Rain Man or anything, or was it Rain Man? Yeah, Rain Man or A Beautiful Mind. But I have mostly the way I think of numbers are sports related things. I'll throw out a random a number here. Okay, Utah State just lost 65-76. 65. If I see that number, I think 65. 1965 was it 65 or the summer of 65? No, that's Brian. Anyway, I think a 65 Chevy for some reason. That always pops out. I'm not a big car guy or anything, but 65, I would think, yeah, 65 Chevy. And then 76, I would automatically think of 76 gas station. So like, that's just how I do numbers, how I think of things. Obviously I look down here. Oh, what's another number? They're showing the brackets here on the screen. Baylor, let's see. Okay, 10 Utah State and 7 Missouri. If it was 10 and 7, I would think, okay, 10-7. That was the Rio Hondo Prep first ever CIF championship game. They're in 11 man that they won. It was 10-7. So these are the weird ways in which I think of numbers or try to remember things. Remember we used to have to memorize someone's cell phone number and you had to get the number basically 626-335. You had to get, like, there was a pattern to memorizing the numbers. And when you're a kid getting your buddy's numbers for the first time, now we all have cell phones and everything. But back in the day, man, you had to memorize that number or write it down and carry it in your pocket and get home. And this is how I'm around numbers all day. Not as a mathematician, but as an address finder typically. And so it's just a fun way for me to think of to remember numbers. 42, I think of Ronnie Lott. 59, I think of London Fletcher. 15, my favorite number, easy to remember. It's just a way that I do things, a way that and maybe there's just too much sports information in my head. There probably is, but hopefully it is helping me in the future here to memorize different things. Don't need cell phone numbers, but you know what I mean. I talked about the underrated sports time of the year. I have to tell you, I have it out right now. One of the saddest parts of my week, it's not Monday morning. Monday morning is tough for everybody, but one of the saddest parts of my weekend usually is the moment you have to take that small TV and roll it. It has wheels, and you roll it into the closet because it's the not only end of the weekend, but it's the end of the sports viewing for the weekend too. And it's always a sad moment. I don't know. I don't necessarily hear taps being played, but it is rather sad. Unplug, wheel up the cords, slide the thing into the closet, and you close it, and you just, I don't know. Personally, I get a little emotional. I would say, hey, I'll see you next weekend, man. It'll be good to see you next week when I wheel you back out, and we can watch many great games together again, because one TV just isn't enough. I considered deeply today, since I'm home all day and Friday, I considered doing something drastic here and getting our third TV that's upstairs and bringing that down. But it would have been a logistical nightmare setting up another table. There wouldn't have been much room to walk. And if Val got home and walked into that, we'd probably have a serious problem. She'd be like, what is wrong with you? And I'd be like, I didn't have a fourth TV. Is that a problem? Is it a problem being good at something? Watching a lot of sports? Is that a problem? Could be. I don't know. So I settled on no, not for now. 2 TVs is enough. We got the laptop here shortly. I'll have to live with it. And pulling it down the stairs and everything, that would have been a nightmare. So, but it's a sad moment every weekend when you got to wheel the little TV back into the closet. And but at the same time, it's a sad ending, but in the near future, you'll be seeing each other again very, very soon. And that is a big reason to go to work Monday morning and finish up your week. Okay, a couple of things I wanted to talk about, just kind of a general theme. Number one of them is this whole concept I'm seeing a lot of right now with all of the COVID, I'll say COVID forgiveness that's going on. It's a lot of people who have, especially in the news media, who've gone back to, we're getting back to normal, right? If you will. And all the people that told us how important masks were and vaccines and distancing and all of these things and locking up schools and locking people out from their jobs. And this will save everyone. All those people who had, we're talking about how many deaths there were and wouldn't tell you the ages of the people dying. And the COVID hysterics out there. I heard some great names. The Branch Covidians is a good one. Branch Covidian is a it's a really good one. Just the COVID. I don't know where to go with all this. Anyway, all of the, if you listen carefully and you watch carefully, everyone in the news media now we're seeing this push of like, well, we didn't know. We did these things we shouldn't have done, but we didn't know. We didn't know. Well, here's what I struggle with. If you didn't know that masks didn't work, if you didn't know that the vaccine wasn't going to prevent COVID, if you didn't know these things, then why did you mandate them? Why did you make them mandatory instead of suggesting, hey, we're not sure if these ideas are going to work, but you guys might want to try them out? Instead, it was, we know this will work. If everyone does this, it will work. And there's plenty of other examples. I'm using the whole COVID thing and math. It's this, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm sorry, forgive us. We didn't know. We were wrong. But first it wasn't, they'll never admit that they're wrong. And now that some of them are admitting that they were wrong, it's this, well, we didn't know. Yeah, but you pretended to know. You didn't know, yet you said you knew. And everyone who said the things that are now public policy basically were conspiracy theories, you dramatize all of the rest of us as just arrogant, harmful extremists, yet you didn't know. If you don't know something, why would you be so adamant about it? I don't know who's going to win this game, San Diego State and Charleston. I'm personally gonna root for San Diego State, and I think San Diego State's going to win. I do. They're the 5 seed over 12 Charleston. But if you want to root for Charleston, by all means, go ahead, man. Live your life. And if you think Charleston's going to win, heck, you could even pick Charleston to win. I'm not going to be mad at you. Hey, that's your opinion. Maybe you gathered information and you thought Hey, I think Charleston's going to win this game. All right. But in no way would I be like, you think Charleston's going to win this game? How could you think that? How could you think that? You know San Diego State's better. By the way, Charleston's currently winning the game. But San Diego State is far better. Not only that, it's dangerous that you are picking Charleston to win this game. Number one, how could you think that they are going to win and then be so confident that they're going to win? That is ridiculous. You need to get in line and you need to do what everyone else does. And you need to pick San Diego State or cheer for San Diego State at least. We don't know that they're going to win, but yes, they are going to win. So then when Charleston wins the game afterwards, then they will say, well, we didn't know. We didn't know Charleston was going to win. Yeah, but neither did the Charleston fans. I don't know if my analogy works, but it's the one I'm coming up with right now on the spot. If you don't know something, then you can't run your mouth. You can't make policy like you do know something. I'm trying to think of another example. It'd be like saying, hey, fast food, hey, it's okay. It's okay for you. You can eat that every meal. Then you eat it and you have heart issues and you gain weight or whatever. Well, we didn't know. It's never been proven. The data has never been collected before. Yes, but then why did you say it was okay? Well, we didn't know it was okay to go outside. We didn't know it was good that it couldn't be spread certain ways. We didn't know. No, but we decided to lock everything down. Inflation is through the roof because all these businesses got shut down. People aren't working, or maybe they are working now. There's been so many after effects or reactions and just to the whole policy of, well, we didn't know. You can't say that. It was one of the worst things. This happened in officiating sometimes. I don't know is a bad answer. Sometimes it's the only answer. But if you don't know something, you wouldn't just guess. Like if you didn't know, it's not like you have no options. I don't know which way, right or left here. Let's just guess. It's got to definitely be this way. If you're guessing, if you're hypothesizing, then you can't sell the idea that this is going to work. This is for everybody. And then you see how the game was played, of course, with, well, masks will work. You need to wear masks. Okay, now you can't get COVID if you take a vaccine. Okay, you can get it, but you can't spread it. Okay, you can get it. You can spread it, but thank God you had it or you might have died otherwise. And see, there's no way. Heads I win, tails you lose, as I talked about a few weeks ago. There's no way to combat their theories, their propaganda, because they make the rules. And so it went from, well, we didn't know, when, in my opinion, they were lying. If you're not sure of something and you project it as fact, that's lying. You can call it whatever you want. You can say, well, we didn't know all the information. We gave you as much information as we could. Yeah, but that's not the truth. Half truth is still a half lie. And when you know you're telling a half truth, you know you're telling a half lie, you're lying to the public. Well, we didn't. They say that all the time because I believe the news media lies to us. They're very distinct on their verbiage and their terminology, but they lie. And not only do they lie, but they tell you the other side, the other side's lying. That's why you need to listen to us. We value truth. And Adam Carolla has been saying this, and Clay Travis, a lot of people have been saying this. All these guys that lied to you, I don't even try not to know some of these CNN guys. Anderson Cooper talking about January 6th, the cops were murdered. There are multiple cops that were beaten with. None of that was true. Yet they get away with it, and they can say, well, we didn't know for sure. Yes, but you projected that it was true. That's lying. A half truth is a full lie. A half lie is still a lie. And I'm speaking as someone that has gotten caught up in this stuff. Okay. I've been dishonest before. I've misled people. I'm ashamed to say some of these things, but yeah, I've gotten in trouble because I was dishonest. And I had to learn some very valuable lessons. It's a lot easier to just remember the truth. You don't have to remember, when you start being dishonest or not being fully truthful, you have to remember what you said and all those things. And I try to be very truthful now, even on the podcast, speak my mind. If you ask me an opinion about something, you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you an honest answer. I've tried to commit to truth and honesty in my adult years here, the past few years, I'll say the past 10, however many years it's been, because I've gotten in trouble by being dishonest. And I wanted to, express that. I'm far from perfect. And, sometimes we justify little lies. All of us, think about it. I know I have. I've said things that weren't totally truthful, but I knew, well, the truth might hurt or not go well for me, or it'll help me achieve something. Okay. But in the end, it's not a good idea. Right. And we can always justify being dishonest. I'm sure there's people at CNN and MSNBC and just the New York Times that know they're lying, but they feel that it's for a good cause, right? So many of us have done that. I'm being dishonest, but it's for a good cause. And I'm not talking about like, lying to the Taliban when they're looking for some U.S. troop or something. Hey, where's so-and-so? Obviously you would lie then, and that's lying for a good cause. But so many people have been dishonest about so many things. And because, well, this will get rid of Trump. Oh, we got to be dishonest. It's better to tell a lie and be dishonest to sway the public one way or another, because then our agenda gets pushed through and it's just better than the alternative. This is how a lot of people think. And I've been caught up in that plenty of times before. I mean, one of the biggest regrets I've had, I'm over it now, but sometime I'll tell some of you individually, maybe, if you ever want to know about truth and dishonesty, is it definitely affected something in my career that I've only told a few people about. And from that moment on, I kind of swore to myself that I would embrace the truth, no matter how much the truth hurts. And I would not be afraid to say what needed to be said, and not afraid of repercussions, because repercussions from lying is a lot worse, let me tell you. And that's why I get so mad when I see blatant lies out there. The COVID myths that were being pushed, and anyone who spoke out against it, not just me, but mostly people, conservatives, they were just, oh, he's a right-wing conspiracy theorist who is a COVID denier. It's like, no one denied this stuff. No one denied that there was a virus, that, yeah, it hurt people. But when we tried to look at who it affected, old people, people overweight, people sick, like, you started to bring those things up, and it was like, how dare you? How dare you? This is affecting all of us. We need to shut everything down. We need policies put in place to get rid of the current president. We need ways to make voting safe. And safety is a catch. Safety is should be a free space on a victim bingo card. Safety, anytime you hear that word, be skeptical. This is for your safety, for your well-being. Better safe. Get home safe. I know it's in the title. If you hear safety, it's better, abundant, caution. We want to be extra cautious. I talked about a denier before. If you're denier and phobia, these are all words that liars use, in my opinion, to make you seem crazy, to make you seem out of control, to make you seem like the probable liar. And as someone who has lied in the past, I can tell you, I know why people lie. A lot of times it is, number one, to prevent the truth from getting out for some reason. Number two, it can be to persuade another direction, to persuade down a an untrue road. And sometimes lying can be to not just prevent, but to protect yourself or someone close to you, right? You don't want somebody hurt. There's justifications as to why we lie. It's a big reason that I think it is in the 10 Commandments, bear false witness, and maybe I have that wrong, but it's because God knew just how our human natures were. He knew about our desires. Well, he has, laws in there about, the laws about that. And, I don't need to go into detail about that, but lying, you wouldn't think lying would be a big deal. Oh, what's a big deal? I said the sky is green when it's blue, but what's a big deal? It's up to you to believe it. It's up to you to, and the whole thing, do liars believe their lies? Because if you believe something, is it a lie? And so that's where I think a lot of the news media gets out of their way. Oh, at the time, I believed it to be truthful, so it's therefore not a lie. Whereas maybe you deep down didn't believe it, but you were like, I want to believe this. I want this to be true. So let me tell you, guys, I wish I was 6 feet tall. I wish I was a lot thinner than I am. I can say it all I want, but until those things are changed physically, they're not true. Just because I feel that way doesn't mean I am that way. But we live in such a time now of dishonesty. And much like heads I win, tails you lose, it's just like, oh, misinformation. That's misinformation. That's another thing. If you accuse someone of something, if you just say that's misinformation, really, you're the one that's putting out misinformation. What's a great way to do that? Accuse the other side of doing that. And I talked to you about that in refereeing so many times. The guys would be like, hey, those guys over there, they block below the waist when they're not supposed to or whatever. And then you're like, okay, I'll watch that. But you're saying those things almost to get eyes and attention off of what you're doing. And I know I'm rambling and I haven't been on the show in a while, but these are things I've wanted to get off my chest and kind of talk about this theme of honesty and dishonesty. What is a lie? When does it become a lie? Is it become a lie in that moment that you say it, or is it become a lie because it doesn't come true later on? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I just know that now that we know so many lied in the news media, you have to ask yourself this question. And it's 3 letters. It's 3 letters long. When people lie, it rhymes with lie. And that question is why? Why did the news media lie to us about so many things? And when you brought up, there was probably a lab leak. It was a lab leak. It was you can't say that. You can't say that. Now it's like fact and truth. Oh, if only we had known that or said that. Yet you labeled everyone who said that as a domestic terrorist, right? You have to ask yourself why. Why did they lie? And I wrote down, why? Was it about power? Was it to defeat Trump? Was it to crush small business? Was it to promote big pharma? There's so many, I guess, reasons or excuses in there. All the money that Pfizer has made throughout this thing. People got rich the past few years, while so many of the rest of us struggled and continue to struggle today because sure, we might have better jobs and higher wages, but you can't get ahead because cost of living is. I was at the grocery store this morning, stocking up for not just this weekend, but hopefully the next few weeks. Try to buy in bulk because you think it'll be better in the long run, but I don't know if that's true or not. And the dollar amounts now that you're forced to deal with. It's really, really frustrating. And as I look back on all the lies that were told to us, and if you brought it up and raise your hand, wait, that doesn't sound right to me. Why are they shutting? Why can you take your mask off to eat, but you have to wear a mask? Why can't you go in a grocery store? Why, all these, you raise your hand and ask the questions. You just need to do what you're told. Because the news media, they're honest people. They're very honest. They don't have an agenda. And there's a lot of people that, different outlets, and you trust this one, you trust that one. And it's like, dude, look I don't have an agenda. Truth is kind of my agenda, I guess you could say. Because when somebody lies, back to that, as I know I've done in the past. You know, I remember my parents asking me this question, specifically my dad. And I love him for it. And I remember it so like it was yesterday as a kid when you'd mess up, specifically when you would lie, when you'd be dishonest. And before my dad ever said, you shouldn't have done that, that wasn't as an example. It was never, you shouldn't have done that. It was almost like he gave you this accountability and this responsibility into your actions. My dad would always say, why did you do that? Why did you say that? He would ask me why I did something. Not, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, that's not what you do or whatever. It's always, and it may have gotten there eventually, but he asked me why so that I could say, basically stand up for my act, not stand up, but be responsible for my actions. And early on, I got to tell you, and actually the answer a lot of times, I don't know. I don't know why you did it. And then it would be, yeah, you do. You do know why you did it. Why did you do that? And, you know, oh, I didn't want to get in trouble. Well, you're in trouble now. How's it feel? You know, no, you did that because you knew it was wrong and you did it anyway. These are vivid memories I have, and I'm sure you guys have that similar opinions or memories of your parents and things of that nature. But I just remember that sticking out to me. And anytime I disappointed my parents or friends or whoever, you know, I do that to this day. I mess up. Why'd you do that? I'll say it out loud. And because we can't just go through the motions and listen to people and just never ask why. I mean, it's important to ask why. It's funny how sometimes dissent is like patriotic, and then other times it's like, no, you need to listen. But if you're gonna, you know, I'm not promoting lying. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to identify and point out that we've been lied to a lot the past few years, and you have to ask yourself why. If you trusted the news media, if you trusted our overlords, if you trusted their heart's in the best interest, I mean, you have to ask yourself why. Why were they dishonest? And the answer can't be, well, we didn't know. We just didn't know. Because if you don't know, then why would you be so adamant about your policies, about getting in line, about everything? Why? Why did you do that? Look me in the eye and tell me. I want to know. I can probably figure it out, but you'll never tell me. They'll never tell us. Because you know what? They just move on to the next thing. The next big lie. And it's funny when one side of the aisle calls another side of the aisle liars, and then it just becomes this vicious circle. And it's like, okay, if you call someone a liar, can you point out like 2 or 3 of their like biggest lies? Can you point out some examples? Well, they just lie. They're dishonest. Yeah, okay, but can you just name a few? And anytime I've had these arguments with someone, they'll like well, he said so and so. I'm like, well, that's not true. By the way, on the note of lying and weather, I mean, it's been rainy here in Southern California. Whoever controls, since people think we can control the weather now, can we turn the rain off? Is that possible? Whoever is at the controls of the global climate, whatever it's called these days, to fit agendas, can we push a button and turn the rain off? It's rained plenty here in Southern California, and I'm fine with it. We need it, whatever. But it's hilarious how people think we can control the weather. We can control it. So whoever's at the controls, push the button, will you? Maybe cool it down in the summer. Maybe warm it up in the winter. Whatever. I'm just throwing that out there. So next time you come across someone in your life, or maybe it's on TV or whatever, hey, why did that? You know, you hear a lie and you know it. You're just like, that's dishonest. You gotta ask yourself why. Why did they lie to me? And usually it's to persuade you or keep the truth from you. So I started asking why a long time ago, and maybe some of the rest of you will here in the near future. I hope you do. I hope you join me, and we make people pay for lying to us. And as Corolla and Clay Travis were saying, as I'm getting back to that, the people that did lie to you, CNN, Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, pick your poison. You should never listen to these people again about anything. Not the most basic information out there. They lied to you about a lot of things. My favorite one is, and I'm sure this will get flagged. My favorite one is the whole January 6th thing, the insurrection, the first unarmed insurrection in the history of the world. And so what did they do? They just, anytime you heard about an insurrection in the past, it was an armed insurrection. It was two words that always went together. So they just removed the armed part. And it's hysterical to me. Now, if there's things that went on in there that were truly an overthrow of the government, I want to see them. I do. Show me. I am not afraid of the truth or information. Show me. But some people are afraid of the truth. And all Tucker Carlson did last week was post videos that were kept from us on purpose. Why? Again, back to why? To keep the charade going, to not let you think for yourself. You will think what we want you to think. So the tapes go out, and Tucker Carlson's called this liar for literally showing the tapes he was given about what happened, some of the things that happened that day. And it's amazing to me that people that are terrified of the truth. And again, back to the question, why? Why are you afraid of the truth? Sometimes the truth hurts. And in the cases when I've lied and been dishonest, I was afraid of the truth because I was not just how I was going to hurt somebody else, but it's going to hurt me. I'm going to look bad. And so let me try to cover it up. Not saying there was a cover up, not saying anything. We'll see. We'll see about some of these other things. But that was an example recently. And listen to the verbiage carefully of these guys, of the politicians. Carlson should be fired. What, for putting out tapes of for showing you what happened? Think about that. These tapes shouldn't be seen. Why? Why shouldn't they be seen? Who's hiding truth now? But Tucker Carlson is Mr. Misinformation? I don't get it. I don't get it. As the saying went in Jerry Maguire, show me the money, from Cuba Gooding Jr., a great actor. And if you haven't seen that movie, that's a good one. Tom Cruise. But not show me the money, but show me the truth. The truth shall set us free, as the saying goes. And I know I've rambled a lot here, and you probably wanted to hear some basketball talk or whatever, but I'm in here on my couch. It's about 1:15 in the afternoon, and just something that was on my mind the past week. Truth. And what is truth? And who's afraid of truth? It's frustrating because you can cover up the truth all you want and make it seem like something else, or lie about it and mislead. And there's plenty of people that will believe it, unfortunately. So good to be back. I promise you guys, I'll be back weekly throughout the next few weeks. I'm trying to make this happen. And even if it's just 30 minutes or so, I did hit a wall there a few weeks ago. And, between work and other things, needed to make a little bit more money on the side with Uber and things. And so that is why I've kind of been distant from the podcast, but I'm back now. I hope you guys will tune in consistently once again, and we can have plenty of great podcasts going forward about current events, random thoughts. You guys know the drill here on the Get Home Safe podcast. Enjoy the rest of the games, everybody. San Diego State's going here. I got to flip the channel here for another game. It's just one after another. Boom, boom, boom. Love it. One of the best days of the year. Back-to-back days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday. They're okay also, but only 8 games each day. Kind of a bummer. And that whole other college basketball NIT tournament, I mean, they shouldn't even be on television, in my opinion. The participation trophy tournaments, whatever they're called. World Baseball Classic. Don't forget that. Hopefully next week, Tuesday night, we'll be recording after a U.S. World Baseball Classic title. We'll see. I don't know. Long, tough road ahead, but plenty of sports to recap next week, as I'll try to get back more of a Wednesday, Thursday format, if you will. One of those days during the week, I'll get some content out for you guys. Have a great and safe, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Celebrate responsibly with your corned beef and cabbage and whatever else you partake in, and enjoy the sports, man. Truly, March Madness is here. Major League Baseball's around the corner. WBC, college baseball. I mean, what a time. I didn't even get a chance to talk about NFL free agency today. We'll talk about more of that next week. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. I'll be here watching hoops if you need me. But guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or around in third base, get home safe.